Just as spring brings in an abundance of vibrant colors that brighten the landscape and with it a sense of new hope for the year ahead, the Daytona 500 ushers in the beginning of a new racing season with an array of brilliantly colored racing machines and drivers who are freshly renewed, full of optimism. There's Dale Earnhardt, who's starting this race on the pole for the first time in the 18 years that he's been coming to the Daytona 500. His hope is that first leads to his first ever Daytona 500 win. Right there on the front row with Dale Earnhardt is the hope of Ernie Irvan, who's back for his first Daytona 500 since almost losing his life in an accident in 1994. Then there's number 24, 24-year-old Jeff Gordon, the Winston Cup champion, who's hoping to add a Daytona 500 trophy to a case that's already filling up. Dale Jarrett, who won the Daytona 500 in 1993 and then dominated the Busch Clash last Sunday, is hoping he can dominate the 500 today. Sterling Marlin is out to do something no other driver has ever done here at the Daytona 500, win it for the third time in a row. Hope is what the Daytona 500, the Super Bowl of stock car racing, is all about. And each of the 43 drivers in today's race is hanging on to hope. A hope that he's going to be the one wheeling into victory lane at the end of 500 miles. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Storms, and we are just an hour away from the start of the Super Bowl of stock car racing, the Daytona 500, the 38th running of the Daytona 500. And what a marvelous day it is for a race. The weather could not be more ideal for fast cars and close racing. We're set, and we're setting the stage for you for the start of the great American classic, the Daytona 500. We will visit with Jeff Gordon, the Winston Cup champion, who'd like to add a Daytona 500 trophy to a trophy case that's already filling up, and he'll tell us about a different approach his team is taking this year. We will also hear from Ernie Irvan, the driver of car number 28, the Texaco Ford. This is his first trip back to the Daytona 500 since he was almost killed in an accident in August of 1994. And he's been showing he's got the right stuff. And we'll also go outside the track where the fans are buying drivers' products at a record pace. And you'll never know who's going to show up there, so I'm certain there will be some surprises. Ryan Baker and Casey Shaughnessy are also here. They are in the pits and mingling with the fans. Scott Harris will also stop by. So sit back and relax as we get ready for the start of the Daytona 500.
The countdown to the 500 is brought to you by AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. KFC, everybody needs a little KFC. And by Dodge.
Imagine knowing your fate before you're even born. Will you have cancer? Be afflicted by Alzheimer's? It's no hoax. There are no tarot cards here. Only scientists, laboratories, and DNA. Can this information really save your life? Do you really want to know? Health specialist Janet Sawyer takes us into the new world of genetic testing, where DNA is the crystal ball. Tempting Fate, Monday at 6 and 11.
When it comes to endurance racing, there's nothing like the Baja. 1,000 miles of dust, heat, and terrain so rough it can shake a truck to pieces, which makes the Baja the perfect place to prove just how tough the Duralast battery really is. So the next time you hit the open road, don't settle for anything less, because the battery that ran the Baja is the same Duralast battery you can depend on to start your truck, and it's the one we stock at AutoZone. The Duralast battery, power you can depend on.
When the king of stock car racing gets a thirst for speed, he straps himself to a high-tech racing machine. But when his thirst runs to something cool and refreshing, he runs to KFC for this, the 32-ounce Richard Petty Cruiser Cup.
Hey, mister, are you done racing yet?
It's all yours, kid. I'm retired. Again.
Get your drink-filled Cruiser Cup free with the purchase of a $3.99 Colonel's Crispy Strips meal combo. And sign up for your chance to win in the KFC Drive Like the King sweepstakes.
How can this be Car of the Year? You can't get up and walk around in a car. Cars don't have seats on rollers. Or so many seats, period. Or so much space for so many things. And they certainly don't offer sliding doors on both sides. Well then, it would appear that for the first time ever, the Motor Trend Car of the Year is more than a car. It's a caravan from the new Dodge.
We worked hard all winter. If we got everything in order, I think we'll be okay, and I feel good about it. I feel like we're ready.
What a week of racing we have had here at the Daytona International Speedway. It started more than a week ago, and if we have learned anything this week by all the races that we've seen, it's that we have no indication. We don't have a clue as to who's going to win today. The racing has been that marvelous, and it has produced some fantastic finishes. The racing begins with $330,000 up for grabs in the Busch Clash. And by the second lap, Sterling Marlin has grabbed the lead from Rick Mast, who started the race on the pole. By the sixth lap, Jeff Gordon, who started 17th, dead last, has moved into fifth. But nobody can catch Sterling Marlin, who wins the first 10-lap segment. Then after the field is inverted, Sterling Marlin goes to the back of the pack along with Dale Jarrett, and those in the back move forward. It's time to go racing again. Just a few laps into the second segment, Dale Jarrett has moved from 16th all the way up to the front, and he'll hold his Ford there for the win. Sterling Marlin winds up second. Dale Earnhardt finishes third. Then it's time for the ARCA 200, and this race is surprisingly calm except for some sensational racing until there are just 8 laps left in the race. That's when Andy Thurman tags the wall, bounces into Doug Reed. He puts Dill Whittemore in a pickle. The two slide across the grass and back up onto the track. No sooner do they get that mess cleaned up, and here we go again in turn 1. Harris Devaney in number 33 gets hit from behind. He gets into Andy Thurman. Then Bob Hill gets involved, and what a ride. He flips 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times before coming to rest on his side. Bob Hill scrambles out of his car. It's burning in the back end. While he's doing that, Jeff Purvis is crossing the finish line first, winning his second ARCA 200. Tim Steele is second in this race. On Thursday, it's the first of 2 125-mile qualifying races, and it gets the green flag with Dale Earnhardt on the pole. But by the end of the first lap, Sterling Marlin has flexed his muscle and grabbed the lead. It's a lead he'll hold until the 29th lap. Dale Earnhardt will take the lead then and hold it. The race is slowed 3 times, twice by rain, the third a lot more serious. Just 5 laps left to race. Bobby Hillen gets loose coming out of turn 2. Brett Bodine hits him. That touches off a wild melee. Bobby Labonte, trying to get out of the way, is hit by Bodine and begins to flip. He'll land on his wheels. He will make the Daytona 500. The accident sets up a 3-lap dash to the finish. It's a dash that Dale Earnhardt will win just ahead of Sterling Marlin. It's Dale Earnhardt's 7th consecutive 125-mile win. The second 125-mile qualifying race isn't as dramatic. On the very first lap, Ernie Irvan moves out in front, and he'll stay there. In his rearview mirror, though, he sees a lot of guys try to make a move to catch him, but he'll hold them off and establish himself as a guy to be reckoned with in the 500 today. In Friday's Daytona USA 200, 18-year-old Lyndon Amick becomes the youngest driver to ever win a race at the Daytona International Speedway. Just about halfway into the race, Danny Mathis slides down and nails Robert Huffman. Both spin off the track into turn 1. Now watch this. In the tri-oval, Jimmy Foster gets loose. Folks, his car actually leaves the ground. He'll land on all 4 wheels, but what a ride that was. Just 13 laps from the end of the race, Ricky Bryant has hit the wall. Danny Mathis can't miss him. They tag tails. Coming to the finish line, Lyndon Amick is out in front, and he'll hold off Will Hobgood. Lyndon Amick collects $11,350 for the win. In the International Race of Champions, Dale Earnhardt takes the lead and then holds off all challengers. It's the 4th time in the last 5 years that Dale Earnhardt wins the IROC. And it makes the 28th time he's won on the Daytona track. But it still leaves him one short, the one he wants the most, the Daytona 500. Yesterday's Goodies 300 provided plenty of opportunities for drivers to use that headache powder. Just 23 laps into the race, and take a look at what's going on in turn 4. Jason Keller gets loose and starts a scramble that sends cars heading for cover. Kevin LePage can't find anywhere to go. Doug Heveron and Hermie Sadler also get caught up in this mess. And before the cars come to rest, you can add to that list Todd Bodine, Joe Bessie, and Andy Hillenberg. Then on lap 44, here we go again, coming out of the tri-oval. Joe Nemechek and Mike McLaughlin tag. McLaughlin up against the wall, pinches Michael Waltrip. He has nowhere to go. He's out of the race. Derek Cope and Tim Bender also are caught up in this. Their cars are damaged. Then just 6 laps after they clean up that mess, in between turns 1 and 2, 10 cars get caught up in this wild scramble, and that pretty much shuts down the track. But once they get that cleaned up, for the rest of the race, it's pretty much green flag racing. And the race comes down to Dale Jarrett and Steve Grissom. Both make late pit stops to pick up a splash of fuel. Then Grissom starts to chase down Dale Jarrett. Steve Grissom gets some drafting help from Jimmy Spencer, moves around Dale Jarrett, and will hang on to win the Goodies 300, giving Steve Grissom a lot of optimism heading into the race today. And of course, Steve Grissom's car is sponsored by WCW, that's World Championship Wrestling. A couple of the wrestlers who were in his pitch yesterday, Lex Luger and Sting. A lot of folks getting involved in racing these days. Ryan Baker is on pit row with a gentleman whose name and picture is all over a car. He's a singer, a country singer. Ryan?
That's right, Mike. You know, as NASCAR's popularity continues to grow, so does the advertising we see on the car. Earlier this week, we showed you Steve Grissom's car he's going to run today, that Cartoon Network Chevy, but take a look at Jeff Purvis's Chevy Monte Carlo. Look at the hood of this. If you want to know what the latest album to go out and pick up and buy, David Lee Murphy, Out with the Bang, one of the rising stars in country music, MCA recording artist. Now he joins me now here. David Lee, you got your picture plastered all over this car. Hopefully Jeff Purvis can get out with a bang today in this race.
I tell you what, Jeff's a great driver. They got the whole Phoenix crew's a good crew, and we're just really excited to be here. They got the album cover on there. We're excited about that, but we want to win.
You want to win. Now, also in the back, you got your latest single, Party Crowd. Talk about that.
Well, Party Crowd is Out with a Bang is the latest single, and we're just real excited about it. It's broken the top 10. It's the 3rd top 10 in a row, and we're real excited to be here. We're having a great time.
So you got music on the hood and on the car, but you want to win this Daytona 500 today.
We want to win this race. You know, country music fans and NASCAR fans, we're like cousins. We're about one and the same. But everything today, we came here, we want to go race, and we want to win the race.
All right, David Lee, you know that record. You wanted to go gold, and hopefully Jeff Purvis can bring some gold home in Victory Lane at the end of this race. Mike?
All right, I can see it now. On his next album, there's going to be a song entitled Victory Lane. Let's just hope that Jeff Purvis can stay out of trouble and not put any wrinkles on that face of David Lee Murphy's right now. Well, the infield is full. You can't look a place around here without seeing the top of some kind of an RV. Casey Shaughnessy is out there, and since it's Sunday, I guess it's only appropriate we find a church bus. Casey?
Stormy, look at who we found. These guys have been coming to the race for over 20 years with their dads, and they all grew up in the same neighborhood together. Doug, tell me how you guys put this whole bus together.
My brother Stanley bought it initially, and we all got together. We started the weekend after Thanksgiving of '91, and by February 15th, it was ready to come to Daytona. It was a church bus, and we converted it into a race bus, and that's what you see here. Labor of love, a lot of family and friends helped us, and this is the end result.